Hello and welcome to SaaS Marketing Insights, the show where we ask SaaS founders, CEOs, marketers, and investors about the lessons they've learned in their quest to grow their companies. My name is Paul Stevenson, and I'm founder and CEO of SaaS marketing agency 47 Insights. On today's show, I have an interview with Greg Dickinson, CEO at Omedym. Hope you enjoy it. Greg Dickinson, CEO, Omedym. Welcome to SaaS Marketing Insights.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Glad to be here today.
So we were just talking, and we both had to admit that we're veterans to some degree in what we do. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, and you go back a long way in software. And I'm really interested in hearing about how you got started. And at what point software became SaaS for you, and what Omedym does that I think answers a real problem that a lot of people will recognize.
Okay. Well, I thought this was only going to be a half hour, but you gave me 3 hours worth of material, so I'm off to a good start. Hey, thanks for inviting me on today. Like I said to you before we started, you're blazing the trail here. You had some really great people. Like I said, Dave Gerhardt at Drift and Patrick Campbell, at Price Intelligently. So, how I got started was I was in the United States Air Force, and I was a technical, sergeant then, and I was trying to finish up my my college degree. Was taking a lot of computer science classes. So when I got out of the Air Force, I went to work for a company and used those technical skills to help use technology basically on a help desk, and that led to us. We were a reseller, and we were competing against a lot of big companies. So we kind of figured out we could use e-commerce as a way to give us a competitive advantage. So that e-commerce platform led to, the owner of the company who I work for, who I, is still one of my strong mentors today, didn't want to go into the e-commerce space. He wanted to keep, what we're doing. So I went out and solicited Ariba, Commerce One, and Elcom, who were three of the, this is 1996. So three of the, early adopters of electronic commerce. And fortunate for me, I landed with Ariba in 1997. I was an early employee there. I think I was one of the first people they hired outside of California. And, I got my, bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and my PhD in software from, working with guys like Keith Kroc, who today is one of my, my strong mentors, Keith Kroc at, Ariba and DocuSign, and just great. So that led me to just love software. And at Ariba I was a pre-sales engineer. That's what I was hired to do the demos, and I ended up managing that department. And I'll fast forward on a little bit. I did another startup in 2007 that was called Hyperos, and there we were helping businesses manage their third parties, or suppliers and vendors. And something started to occur to me during that venture, and that was that although we were quote unquote helping to manage third parties, all of our energy and our software was focused on who was giving us money, right? The banks and the oil and gas companies, but the buyer was left behind. So I kind of left Hyperos and migrated to the Southeast, and it kind of a perfect storm happened around this idea of, Greg, when you started Ariba in 1997, you were doing a demo face-to-face or over the phone, and gosh, that's exactly the same as it is today in the software space. But yet you looked out and said, look at the 8,000 companies that have been helping marketing and the 6,000 companies that are helping sales. Everything has been automated from 1996 till now, but the demo is exactly the same. And with the changing buyer, the environment of I want it now. And how could could I find a way to technologically help that early stage top of the funnel demo so that the buyer experience was better. So that's how Omedym came about, is that revelation that there's a space. I love the demo. I'm a pre-sales guy at heart. I think it's the best part of software is demoing your wares. So it can be used in a lot of areas, but that's how we got started. Is that and Omedym is simply my demo backwards. That way I can remember how to spell it.
Very good. And so you're 2 years into this journey with this product, right?
Yeah, going on 2 years. It'll be 2 years in the October timeframe.
So has anything changed during that period in terms of what your original vision was and how it's actually subsequently rolled out?
Yeah, I think, we really looked at first off was, well, when I did, after I left Ariba, I did two other startups plus Hyperos. And as the founder or the CEO in the early stage company, I was doing a lot of the demos. And so first we pointed, right, our software, which really, allows for, think of the technology as Alexa on top of YouTube. So, static video is available, but it's play, it's pause, it's fast forward. No one listens, Paul. You and I are not going to listen to 60 minutes of any content, right? So what we do is we allow you to record your demo, your sales pitch, a webinar, a podcast, right? And then our software will allow the prospect to ask a question. Does your software do parallel workflow? Does it have reporting? It will bring you to the exact demo and to the exact segment of that software where that demo is being played on the video, so we can learn and retain that information. So, we thought that would be best suited for the smaller startups, to be honest with you. And we spent, as the product was being developed, I had a lot of conversations. I went to a lot of incubators, a lot of WeWorks, a lot of, in Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, Atlanta, Tennessee. And what I found was, that may not be the best market. And so now over the last, I'd say, we released our product in February. And although we have a lot of smaller companies as customers, we're finding the bigger pain is in the, maybe the mid-market to the enterprise customers. And the reason for that is, they're all trying to figure out, as Patrick will tell you, CAC costs are up 50% in the last 5 years. So if you're a SaaS business and your go-to-market strategies of content marketing and direct sales is costing you more money and you're getting less utility, it's still working, but you're getting less utility and your cost of sales is going up. One way, right, to automate a portion of that process is the demo. So we're finding that the pain or the significance of the problem is mid-market to enterprise is much more acute. And, we've got enough customers under our belt now, and thanks to the cloud and AWS, right, we're able to scale to that size customer. So that's a big change, right? And we, a simple little pivot to address a same problem, different market.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I would have thought that B2B enterprise space was always where the problem is, because, they've got a lot of expensive people giving demos and the results, are variable. And people really want, as you said, to self-service much further into the journey than they used to.
Yeah, absolutely. We see three precedents happening. Number one, the buyer, Forrester and Gartner, and you and I will both agree, has changed tremendously, right? The cloud, right, has created a lot more competition, and therefore the buyers can go to a lot more places for information. We're always connected, right? That darn little phone in our hands means we can get a demo. And it's surprising. One of our statistics across our customers is that almost 50% of all demos that are, of course, ours are automated, are given before 9 or after 6, right? Your buyers are connected. They may want to do their research, like that, like you just said, that self-guided process before, right? When are all demos given? Schedule it between 9 and 5, right? So the buyer has changed, but also, right, I think there's some really lessons to be learned from, if you look at what Netflix has done, right? It's the same product as Blockbuster. It's a movie, but Netflix took away the friction. They made the buying process easier, right? Uber and Lyft, it's the same ride from point A to point B, but they made the customer buying process much easier. They removed the friction. So I think that's the, that point of the buyer's journey being much more important. They want to see the product earlier in the sales cycle. They now have the clout and the power to make that happen. And so, yeah, you're right. The enterprise, we've got a couple of them that, without mentioning names, have said, we can't take the enterprise sales model that we had and use that to sell to the mid-market or the SMB market. It's too expensive, number one. And number two, in some cases, that small business or medium-sized business will buy faster. And if we got to get a one-to-one demo, it's not scalable, right? We could actually add months to our sales cycle. So, again, those are learnings as you go out and talk to more customers. You see, kind of how they're trying to go to market and so forth. So you're exactly right. That's the area that we're finding, not that it doesn't exist in small, medium businesses, but, clearly the mid and enterprise market is a acute pain that we're solving.
Great. Yeah, I think it's a problem that I and a lot of other people see all the time. So I was interested. So I'm thinking that it's pre-sales is the only use case, but I guess you can use it for other things, right? Like customer support or what else?
Well, yeah, yeah. We pre-sales, right, is who I'm trying to make into, kind of hero, like your Anthony from Gainsight is making customer success, right? And pre-sales has no tools. So pre-sales, we want them to be able to utilize the product to create the demos and the content. But there's really a broad set of use cases. Salespeople, thanks to some of those software companies that record sales calls, they're now publishing statistics that say that 75% of all buyers on a prospecting call ask to see the product in the first 3 minutes. So instead of that salesperson saying, well, Paul, we'll schedule it for you, we'll do discovery, now they can say, here's demo on demand. You can ask your own questions, and we provide also a GPS type feature to guide you in that process. So that's a inside sales perfect use case, sales perfect use case. And in fact, a lot of those enterprise companies we were talking about have started to say, hey, I know we hired you to do prospecting and inside sales, but we need you to give demos as well. And I'll confess, it's not the best demos, right? So you could actually hurt yourself in that area. But also, interesting enough, on the websites, right, the only way, it's a bottleneck to get a demo is to request a demo, or you can call it scheduled demo or live demo. A form pops up, Paul. You've seen it. I've seen it. Statistics from the marketing companies say that 85% of all buyers that are presented with that fill out the form for the demo abandon and reject it. They don't fill it out. So we see marketing now being a use case for us where they're saying, hey, let's replace that request a demo with an automated demo process. We can get SEO. We can get, think of all the intelligence our software gathers. Every question that's asked, which videos, which content, how long, who was it, what role. So now we're becoming that friend of marketing. Not they have a lot on their plate, right? We know a lot of things they're doing. So, a friend may be the strong word, but we're trying to help as much as we can across that use case. And you're right, our vision, taking it forward, is that the demo is where we want to start first. That's my area. That's the area I love. And so I wanted to go there first. But as you can imagine, the customer journey starts with the demo, but implementation's next, customer success after that, and then support. All four of those areas, the customer is thirsty for product knowledge and product information. It's amazing that when I looked at the YouTube channels, 68% of all searches on YouTube are how-to. So people are looking, how do I do something? And so we think that our vision will be, we'll roll out this technology across the discipline so that the customer journey can be digitized and we can get the information to them instantaneously. And let's be honest, right? If I was instructing you on how to put together a gas grill, and I sent you 30 pages of instructions, or I sent you a link to a video, I think you'd prefer to say, hey, how do I do this? And it would bring you to the 6-minute mark where that complicated leg installation is being shown, as opposed to you trying to read the book, right? So we're all attuned to video as a way to learn and retain information.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. So just the geek in me was just thinking about the technology, the details behind it. So you're taking videos and then you're allowing them to be indexed or searchable and scroll or whatever to the particular point of interest. So there must be quite a lot of technology behind that.
Yeah, that's why I surround myself with smart people, right? So it really boils down to taking a recorded, and again, it can be a PDF, a PowerPoint, a MP4 video, uploading into our platform. And yes, we do a lot of technical stuff that really kind of takes that audio, transcribes it, but then kind of the secret sauce is, and this is not a technical term, but this is what my engineers say, Greg, we munge it, right? What we do is we do a lot of work to that transcript, and then we put natural language processing on top of that, so that, as you're asking a question, just to give you a kind of a geeky answer, if you were to ask me, Greg, how is your software priced, right? If I was presenting, you'd ask me, Greg, how much does your software cost? I would never present, here's how our software costs. I would say the word price. So we got to put a little bit of natural language processing on top of that. And then, kind of the AI, I hate to overuse that word, but then a lot of machine learning to say, hey, Paul's title is X, and we know from past experience that people like Paul looked at this content for a long time. So let's help to the recommendation engine to suggest things, type ahead, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot in, kind of that area. And frankly, this is one of the reasons why we're able to do what we do, is that if 10 years ago, if I wanted to automate a demo, man, I could do maybe a PowerPoint walkthrough. I could do some other static videos. And to start a company like mine would have cost, tens of millions of dollars, right? In the technical infrastructure, the cloud has really enabled me to go to AWS and be able to, get all the components I need. And there's a lot of them for a reasonably priced, investment in order to deliver to you, right, a pretty sophisticated technological advancement where not a lot of companies are offering, kind of a searchable, smart UI for the user to learn, what your software does and how it can do it. And we've done things like bots in there so that, we're partnered with one company that uses Drift. So think about, you asked a question about price. I could be smart and say, Paul, pricing is not something we talk about. Would you like to talk to a salesperson, right? I can use that to extend, our relationship. So yeah, it's not the geek in you, it's the knowledge guy in you that says this is complicated, and we try to make it simple.
And I should say, other cloud services are available. This podcast is sponsored by AWS.
I looked at them all.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you're a veteran of software, and you're in this 2-3 year startup, Omedym, which sounds absolutely fantastic, and I think it really addresses a problem that certainly I see. I was just keen to understand what changes you've seen in marketing over your career, maybe as a bystander, maybe as an active participant, and how you're going about marketing Omedym from, starting from scratch.
Yeah. So I think, in the 1997 when I joined Ariba, I think marketing was really about, frankly, we wave the banner, hey, we're a startup, right? And we're using these new technologies called Java, and it's an internet application, and we're, automating a process. And that got, we could, my sales team that I work for as a pre-sales engineer could get a lot of meetings based on that. And I think, if you fast forward, 20 years, gosh, as statistics say, 10 years ago, we had 3 competitors. Today, every company has 12. That's a lot of noise, right? And there's just, and Paul, you and I can go to your podcast to learn. We can go to, oftentimes there's industry-specific blogs. There's industry-specific analysts. So where we can go for information is no longer directly to Ariba or directly to, to Gainsight or one of your other companies, right? And so I think where I've seen, and I've never been in the marketing department, but I've seen marketing help me as a sales professional, is getting more specific, right? And being able to target, that pre-sales engineer in our example. This is a life in the day of a pre-sales engineer. What are you suffering from, and how can we help? I think a blanketed information says, hey, we automate the demo, it isn't going to cut it. Where 20 years ago, that would have been pretty cool, and maybe that would have got someone's attention. So I think that's one. I think two, right? The notion of a lot of these tools, right? I mean, the tech stack has become your friend, right? And I think we play into that. But I think what you look at, inside sales is a Salesforce, or one of the, then on top of that, or any of the CRMs. On top of that, you can look at, the HubSpots and Pardot and Marketos, and you can, on top of that, how you can get information and phone numbers and emails. I think all that, right, allows for, marketing to be much more targeted. And I've seen, in Omedym, we really have focused in on, because we're small, right? We've only been around for going on 2 years. So we got to focus in on our target, right? You can't just, hey, I'm going to sell to all 80,000 software companies in the United States. I'll be here for 20 years trying to get that done, right? I got to focus on, those customers specifically that have a problem, and then it will grow from there. And then, from that perspective. So I think that's where I've seen, marketing and being able to learn from podcasts like yourselves and other avenues where you can see this is what others are doing. I think, Drift does a great job in being able to give away, right, things that they have done that are successful. My hat's off to them. I look up to them quite a bit because they've pioneered some new, interesting ways. So I think that helps marketing too. That wasn't around, 15 years ago. We all kind of, kept tight what we were doing, right? It's a secret sauce. And now it's about execution. It's not about the idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of great ideas out there, but yeah, it's definitely how you deliver on them and improve on them. With this long career in pre-sales and software, what is it that keeps you motivated? Because this is your second, third, possibly fourth startup. You obviously love it. What is it about it for you?
Yeah, so I first of all, software is what I know, right? And I've always been fascinated. Even as a young kid, I was fascinated by the fact that in the manufacturing process, on one side was raw materials, and the other side was the automobile, right? And software is just that way to me. It's here's a problem, and the other end is automation. But what keeps me motivated is my thirst for learning, right? And I am, I had dyslexia when I was a child. So when I graduated high school, I was reading at like a 8th grade level. So I struggled big time in school. Now, thankfully, I was really strong in mathematics, which led me to computer science and led to my, my career. So every down, has an up, but it's really, kind of giving me a syndrome that, am I doing the right job? Am I, constantly thinking about, are we going to be, someone going to do what we're doing better? So I'm constantly thirsting for that information and trying to, be the best I can be in the company. And, if I learned one thing at Ariba, the CEO that has the best team wins. And so that really motivates me. At Hyperos, we had an exceptional team. We competed against some really large companies and we won. And I'm going to do the same thing here at Omedym. I think this space will get crowded someday. And so, it's about leadership and it's about, getting a team and putting, the customer first, the team second, and finance will take care of itself. And those kind of, little sayings motivate me to continue every day to see if I can't build something and build a great team, employ people, and really, help make my customers raving success. And that's fun. That to me, as I've said before, I'm fortunate in where I am in my career. My kids are out of the house. And to me, work's a hobby. I'm working 24 hours a day, but it's not work. It's just, I enjoy listening to your podcast. I enjoy picking up new books and reading them. And if I can learn something new every day and then go to the office and put it to work, that's a great day. Great day.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm an info freako as well. I love just learning about stuff, which is why I do this podcast, because it really helps me to learn what's going on, both in marketing and software. So would you say that you're creating a new category, or are there already competitors in this space?
Yeah, I don't. There are people using similar technology in other areas, legal being one, higher ed, right, for helping to people to be able to take online classes and find them. But I don't know that we're creating a new space as much as we're kind of trying to automate something that that already exists. And we'll see. I'm sure that there will be other entrants that'll pivot left or pivot right to come in here. I'm hoping that happens, right? Because it's much easier to get to create a market, if you will, when there is more than one person yelling, "Hey, come over here and look at me," right? So, but at Hyperos, we created third-party management as a space. That's hard, right? It's really hard to create a space. But ask me that question in a year, and by then we'll have either we joined something or we created something, right? It's the direction. Right now, we're just trying to continue to evolve on the vision of how do we make that buying experience better, lowering the cost of that for that organization, and giving them an opportunity to, as we say, candidly, the demo process sucks for everybody, buyers and suppliers, and we're removing the friction so that buyers can buy more and sellers can sell more, right? So it's a really simple formula.
Yeah, so this is what springs to mind for me. What happens, and it may have already happened, you don't need to tell me if it has. What happens if somebody like Salesforce just comes along and offers you a lot of money?
Well, that hasn't happened yet, and the idea behind starting a company is looking at how you can grow it and be successful in the market. And at Hyperos, it happened 8 years out of the gate, 7 years out of the gate, and at Ariba, right, I was with that when we went public and did all those wonderful things. So if that happens, we'll have that conversation. But for me, it would be all about will what we're working on, right, survive, and Salesforce or other companies have kind of success of doing some, and others they buy that really actually get squashed, right? And it was more of a, hey, we want to do that ourselves, kind of, so to speak. So we'll have to see when that comes. But right now, my focus is really on the next customer and growing that market. Our revenues are a little small for this to move a needle at Salesforce right now.
I'm sure they are, but I'm sure they're Look, I think I think you're in a fascinating market space. I think what you've done is, very innovative and outstanding. And I think there's so much potential with this product. From the moment I first saw it, I just thought, these guys have solved a problem, and there's a hell of a lot of people out there with that problem. So thanks very much for your time today, Greg, and I'm wishing you a ton of luck with Omedym.
Well, Paul, thank you for those kind words. Someone coming from someone like you that sees a lot and hears a lot, that's a true compliment, and I truly appreciate that. Thank you very much. And hopefully maybe we can touch base in a period of time down the road and have chapter 2, because you blazed a trail here, and I'm honored to be a part of your podcast. Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Greg. For more info on Omedym, please visit www.omedym.com. For more info about this show, and to get our links to iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube, check out www.47insights.com. And if you have any SaaS marketing insights that you'd like to share on the show, please get in touch. Until next time.